The timeless, legend of 1960s rock music, Janice Joplin, not only astounded everyone with her fervent vocals, but also left a death that was mysterious. From the controversial pornographic book to the early usage of stimulants, Joplin's life is a passionate tragedy that both fascinates and terrifies people. To learn more about her tale through these unique pictures, let's watch the entire video. Born on January 19, 1943, in Port Arthur, Texas, Janice Lynn Joplin came from a middle-class household. From a young age, Janice showed characteristics of being unique. Her father, Seth Ward Japan, was an engineer at the Texaco Oil Company, and her mother, Dorothy Bonita East, was an administrator at a business school. As though sensing Janice's extreme fragility and loneliness, her parents admitted that she required more care than her other kids. In addition to experiencing bodily changes as a teenager, such as becoming overweight and developing acne that left deep scars that needed to be removed with dermabrasion, Janice also had to deal with bullying and exclusion from her peers. They cruelly referred to her as a deviant and a pig freak lover. Although Janice's physical injuries healed, she was plagued by emotional scars for the remainder of her life. But Janice found solace in music during those gloomy times. She made friends with some misfits who, like her, were viewed as unique. One of them had blues records by Lead Belly and Bessie Smith Marini. Janice was very moved by the unadulterated, sorrowful song. She was a classmate of renowned football coach Jimmy at Thomas Jefferson High School, where she started performing blues and folk music with friends. Janice attended Lamar State College of Technology and the University of Texas at Austin, Utah, after graduating from high school in 1960. Even though she never received her college degree, her artistic career began while she was a student at UT. According to an article in the school's student newspaper titled, "She Dared to Be Different," she was not afraid to defy expectations by showing up to class barefoot, wearing jeans, and carrying an electric harp so she could perform spontaneously. Janice's mezzo-soprano voice was powerful and soulful during her performance with the folk group Waller Creek Boys at UT. She also became a member of the Texas Ranger, the school's humor magazine, where she socialized with quirky people like cartoonist Gilbert Shelton. Shelton remembers that Janice advertised herself as a quirky, driven young lady looking for her place in a society that was too closed off to people who weren't like the majority in publications she distributed around campus. Janice Joplin started to develop her musical personality and lifestyle during those years of trauma and rebellion, which were intensely wild, reckless, and profound. Both a victim of society's past longings for love and a symbol of liberation denied, Janice Joplin started her difficult path from a disobedient young woman. With a distinctive voice to a true artist in the early 1960s, all the while leading a life full of tremendous emotional upheavals and inner storm stimulants. Her artistic identity began to take shape around this time, and she also began to battle internally all the time between wanting to be authentic and Joplin's recording of her debut song, "What Good Can Drinking Do?" in a friend's residence at the University of Texas in December 1962 marked the first significant event. The recording was difficult yet necessary for her to express her artistic sensibilities and rebellious nature. Shortly after, in January 1963, she made the decision to flee Texas, the state connected to her horrific upbringing, as she claimed she hitched a ride with her buddy Ched Helms to North Beach, San Francisco, which is a haven for free-spirited, rebellious people like her. She and Jorma Kaukonen, who would go on to play guitar for Jefferson Airplane, recorded a number of blues songs in 1964. These recordings, which had Kaukonen's wife typing in the background, were eventually made public as typewriter tapes that vividly depicted Joplin's years of musical identity exploration. But she was soon absorbed by San Francisco's shadowy underbelly. She developed a drug addiction, primarily to methamphetamine and occasionally to heroin, and her favorite booze, Southern Comfort, after being convicted for petty larceny. Her friends said she was thin and a shadow of the person she used to be. When Joplin's friends saw that she was in serious decline, they planned a bus party in May 1965 to return her to Port, her hometown. Arthur Joplin made her first real attempt at a lifestyle change upon returning to Port Arthur. She stopped using drugs and alcohol, got a classic beehive haircut, and enrolled at Lamar University in Beaumont. Joplin continued to perform solo, accompanied by an acoustic guitar, during this period. She also went to fundraisers, including one for the sick blues musician Mance Lipcomb. Another bright spot appeared when she got engaged to Peter DeBlanc, a New York-based IBM employee. He requested her parents' approval to marry her. She and her mother even started organizing the wedding, but DeBlanc abruptly called off the engagement, which dealt Joplin a blow and signaled yet another turning point in her quest for love. In the meantime, Joplin met social worker Bernard Jartano, who assisted her in facing her anxiety that her fame as a musician might result in a drug addiction relapse. She had been informed that, like the other women in Port Arthur, she would be stuck in a boring office job if she did not seek a career in singing. Janice Joplin's career underwent a significant sea change in 1966 when she formally joined the psychedelic rock group Big Brother and the Holding Company, a hippie group that was forming out of San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury neighborhood. She was persuaded to join the group by her old friend Chid Helms, who had driven her to California. A few years prior, Travis Rivers, a close friend of Helms, traveled to Austin to collect Joplin and transport her back to San Francisco. Joplin told her parents that Austin was her last destination at the moment, but in reality, she was resuming her love of music in the same setting that had caused her to develop a heroin addiction. The Avalon Ballroom hosted Joplin's first official performance with Big Brother in 1966, which was a significant occasion that signaled her comeback to the rock scene. Her parents discovered that their daughter had returned to San Francisco shortly after receiving a surprise letter from her. Despite her comeback to singing, Japan first made an effort to abstain from narcotics. She strictly prohibited needles in the flat when she rented a home with Rivers, but Joplin soon had to face unpleasant reality. She witnessed some of Rivers' pals using drugs one day while he was out. She still carried the horror and dread of her drug addiction with her, and her wrath erupted as she wailed and screamed that she couldn't bear to see it. But soon after, Joplin was drawn back to her previous habits by her environment, which combined rock music, drugs, and personal freedom. She nevertheless continued to flourish as an artist. Nevertheless, she and Big Brother gave a significant concert in San Francisco in the summer of 1966, which was ultimately included on the album Cheaper Thrills. She had a brief but strong connection with Ron Pigpen McCernan, the founder of the Grateful Dead, around this time. It was an emotional and bohemian romance. When the ensemble went to perform in Chicago in August 1966, they encountered an unforeseen circumstance. The band was left without compensation after the promoter ran out of money. They joined with Mainstream Records out of desperation, but their initial recordings were subpar, so they had to move back to San Francisco to keep playing. The band persevered in recording their debut album in Los Angeles that December and releasing it in August 1967 in spite of the hurdles. Joplin and Big Brother went on a lengthy tour in 1967, stopping in places like Boston, California, the Hollywood Bowl, Seattle, and Vancouver. She also started dating country music artist Joe McDonald at this time, and the two of them lived together in an apartment on San Francisco's Leon Street. This address was a minor milestone on her driver's license, but it represented a time of great upheaval and a committed life for Japan. Janice Joplin battled her inner darkness and had a strong affinity for music during the 1966 to 1969 time frame. She came to represent not just a period of protest but also suffering, freedom, and the determination to survive. The music industry was startled by Janice Joplin's unexpected death in October 1970 at the age of 27. Joplin was added to the 27 Club, a group of gifted musicians who passed away at the age of 27, just 16 days after Jimi Hendrix and a month after Alan Wilson canned Heat. She is linked to startling stories and speculations because of her strong, raspy voice, unconventional performance style, and vulnerability on the inside. Japan's capacity to captivate listeners was compared to that of a female Elvis Presley. In addition to causing a significant loss, her passing also sparked numerous disputes and startling disclosures. The world was stunned by Peggy Caserta's biography Going Down with Janice, which documented their sexual relationships and heroin use. Janice was a close friend and reputed lover. In addition to sparking indignation, the book led to drug traffickers seeking revenge on Caserta, which resulted in her family members being stabbed. Caserta asserted years later that the book was mostly made up. Joplin's successes, including as Piece of My Heart, Crybaby, and Mercedes-Benz, have left a long musical legacy. Following her passing, artists such as Joan Baez, Leonard Cohen, and Patti Smith found inspiration in her. Janis Joplin lived a brief life, but her impact endured as a sad symbol of the fervent and turbulent rock and roll period. If you enjoyed Janice Joplin's story, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future